Welcome to the final part of the confidence workshop. In this section, I'm just doing a very casual Q&A. This is more like the group coaching that I do for our parents online. And really within this, I want to share with you 5 or 6 questions that we typically get asked, or I typically get asked when I do deliver this confidence workshop for parents, or when I go through the confidence ladder. It might be quite similar to some of the challenges that you might experience as you go through it too. So 5 or 6 questions. Remember, if anything stands out to you or you relate to anything, write your own comments or questions in the video itself. Underneath this, type in a question. I reply back to every single question on this channel. So let's get started with the first question. What if my child just refuses to try anything new? Now, if your child is refusing to try anything new, it's typically because that first rung on the ladder, safety, hasn't been established. Remember back on the workshop where I talked about children who came to the Warrior Academy and they were too nervous to join in. That typically was a sign that safety wasn't in place. Now, as a parent, you might look at that and say, they're not trying new things, therefore they are not confident. But a parent who understands the confidence ladder will say, they're not trying new things, they don't feel safe. So you need to go back to the first rung of the ladder and analyze the emotional stability side. That all comes down to predictability. What your child needs is familiarity and predictability in expectations. If you tick that, you'll remove the overwhelm. The next thing you can do is you can shrink the challenge. So sometimes they don't want to try new things because the expectation is too high or the challenge seems too big. So shrink the challenge or do it in bite sizes. A tiny step is better than a big step which they don't want to do and they fail at and they never want to repeat. A little step which seems too small for you can actually be the start of that compounding. Think of it a little bit like a snowball that builds up momentum and gets bigger all the time. That's what you're trying to do. The final thing is, what's your disposition here as a parent? Are you calm? Are you consistent? One of the challenges I found is that when parents have a child who doesn't want to try new things, they try to force it. And you can't really force a child through that safety stage. You have to be calm and consistent with them. So if you do those things, check the safety first, and shrink the challenge a little bit, and then be calm and consistent, that normally always encourages your child to try new things over time. Question 1, I hope that was useful. Right, the second question I have here. How long does this take before I see changes? So if you remember on the workshop, one of the key things I spoke about was removing friction. It was actually taking away, not increasing things. We were taking away courage blockers. That was one of the first key things, right? Removing courage blockers or removing things that made your child not feel safe. When you do take those things away, you start to notice changes within a few days. So the first changes happen within a few days. It gets more complicated when you get to developing proper courage and competence. And that takes longer. You're looking at 2 to 3 weeks on the courage and the competence stages. The identity and ownership stage can take months. So if you imagine you're looking at the ladder, the first one or two rungs on the ladder can take days, typically the first. Then rungs 2, 3, and maybe 4 can take weeks, and 4 and 5 can take months. So really, if you were going to take a child through a transformation on the confidence ladder, you're looking at a 6-month journey. And then you have to bear in mind, this isn't just a transformation for your child, it's a transformation for you as well. Ultimately, you have to learn on this confidence ladder what each stage represents. And when your child goes through something and they drop in confidence, where do you pick back up? It's all well and good your child going the whole way through the confidence ladder in 3 months. But I guarantee you when a big transition or event happens in their life, like they go through bullying, they change school, their girlfriend or boyfriend breaks up with them when they're a teenager, whatever it is, they will go down a rung. And you need to know when to pick them back up. So don't see this as I need to get to the top of the ladder as quickly as possible. See this as a journey through their soft skill development. What we're learning here is resilience, it's leadership, it's emotional regulation, emotional intelligence, it's courage. These things are all vital for preparing your child for adult life. It's not about rushing through it. It's about doing it properly. So I hope that helps answer that question. All right, next question. Question 3. My child looks confident, but melts down under pressure. Okay, that's not real confidence. That's performance confidence. Your child is tying the outcome of whatever they do to their success or failure. And if they don't achieve something, they melt down. The performance has become the main goal. And so for them, outcome is everything. Now that can typically occur when a child experiences a big win early on in their confidence journey or within a new sport or whatever it is. They've positioned their identity as, I'm good at this. And their confidence comes from always being good at this, rather than positioning their identity to, I try hard, I never give up, this is a process. One is performance-based, outcome-based. One is process-based, effort-based. And then what happens is a parent reinforces that identity with praise on the outcome or the performance. You're great at this, you did really well, and you're very talented, rather than the process and the effort. You tried really hard, you never gave up, and so on. Those two things are what creates a child who's got performance confidence, rather than a child who has real confidence. And real confidence comes from being okay with struggling through something, overcoming something, having ownership over the experience of challenging themselves, and then repeating it all the time. So that's something to really focus on. The other interesting thing is that pressure exposes gaps in competence or safety as rungs on the confidence ladder. So go back and analyze those. You want to really start focusing on routine, on repetition, and less on evaluation. So start to put all that emphasis on the routine, making things predictable, and not so much on getting a specific outcome. You do those things, everything will change for your child. They'll stop melting down when they're under pressure. And that's really key. One of the most important things is you don't remove pressure entirely. Pressure gets a bad rep these days. What we need to focus on is tools to manage pressure effectively. Question number 4. What if my child constantly compares themselves to others? Really good one. Now, comparison means that your child it means that their identity is essentially externally anchored, right? They base their identity on the things around them rather than who they are as a person. So one of the things we need to do in this situation is shift the focus to effort and practice and not to personality. Comparison becomes really, really key. What I found is a lot of parents subconsciously compare their kids to their other kids. So siblings, a sibling comparison, or to their friends in school, whatever it is. And we try to encourage our kids to be competitive as parents. And one of the mistakes that we make is we make our kids compete with each other, even if they're different ages. Try and do this instead. When you want to encourage competitiveness with your child, instead of getting them to compete with their siblings and compare subconsciously, get them to compete with you in a fun way. So instead of saying, who's the fastest to get to the top of the climbing frame, or who's the fastest to get their shoes on, whatever it is, and then one sibling always feeling like, oh, I haven't managed to beat my other sibling, and that's the kind of rivalry, because comparison sets in. Instead, make them a team and say, I bet you can't beat me to get our shoes on. I bet you can't race me over there. And you make this part of the experience where the siblings are together, they're a team. And you'll find that they're not then comparing themselves so much to peers on their level, and that changes the whole game entirely. And the final thing there, I suppose, is the way in which you track their personal progress. So when it comes to progress, a lot of parents will subconsciously track the progress of their child to other kids in their class, in their group, or siblings. Instead, you want to try and make that very individual. And this is one of the things I love about martial arts. Martial arts can be very competitive, but it's typically competitive with yourself. There is a very tangible process and hierarchy when it comes to the belt system. They can visibly see the new color of the belt. That's green, that's blue, that's red. It's a journey of self. It's feeling a part of a community while growing independently at their own stage and rate. And that is really key. Within martial arts, kids might race ahead or come back, and life comes in and out. You know, sometimes we slow down or we speed up. But the bottom line is, we're always forging this self-reflective personal journey, and it's very holistic in nature. So there's tangible progress through something they can visibly see, feel, touch, the belt system, but it is internal. It's all about developing themselves. So it's basically self-development. It's a self-development program while being part of a community. So I'd definitely recommend looking into martial arts as a great tool for helping with that. Now, this question is, how do I push without damaging our relationship? So the first thing I would say is, don't push too hard. And this is really difficult. Parenting is that balance between protection and empowerment, right? You want to push just enough that they leave the comfort zone and they feel a bit uncomfortable, but they want to repeat. You push too hard, they're doing something outside of their comfort zone, which they can't achieve at all, and then they regress back in the comfort zone and they don't want to repeat it. If you do that consistently, you're going to damage their confidence, you're going to increase their anxiety, and also potentially damage your relationship with them or how they see pressure and being pushed. They start to associate pressure and being pushed as something they can't achieve. So going back to that snowball analogy, it's more about compounding little wins gradually. So they feel something difficult, they go back to the comfort zone, then they want to do it again, and they understand that it's something normal. They repeatedly challenge themselves. That's the key. Never try to dismiss the emotion, right? So how do I push without damaging our relationship? You don't deny them of the emotion. If they feel scared, say, yeah, this is scary. It's okay to feel scared. You can even talk about experiences you've had where you felt scared and did it anyway. That's really key. You need to share with them that you've experienced that emotion before and that their emotion is justified. Don't deny them of that. You actually do more damage to them in the relationship, and you actually prevent them from wanting to share their emotions longer term with you. If you want to teach them ownership over their emotions and emotional regulation, the first step of that is understanding and processing their own emotions. So that's key. Finally, staying calm, cool, collected, and emotionally regulated yourself is what will help them go back out there and do something more uncomfortable, right? Push the boundaries more, feel uncomfortable because they are using your emotional regulation, your calm, your steadiness as the foundation of where they leap from. So if you're panicky or you're pushing them too hard, or they can see you're in a heightened state of excitement or anxiety, that might be a bit unsettling for them. So try to focus on that. I hope that helps when it comes to trying limiting the damage that you might cause if you do push your child too much. Final question here. I've left this one to last because it's an important one. What if I feel like I've already messed this up? Maybe you've got a child who's already a teenager, or they're a preteen, or they're 9 years old or above, and you feel like you've made a bunch of mistakes when it comes to developing their confidence. Here's what I'm here to tell you. I've worked with 50,000 families around the world. We work with 10,000 kids every single week in 7 different countries right now. We've got a full-time team of over 100 instructors who manage everything that goes on within the Warrior Academy and the Bates Foundation around the world. Every single day, parents come to us with kids who are hyper anxious and they're teenagers. They've been through a decade of parents not leaning in to the theory, the exercises, or the practices that I've just shared with you. Parents who, if they watch this workshop, might think, I've made so many mistakes. I haven't done half of this stuff right. And yet, almost all of our children who go through this process see a radical improvement in their confidence. Why is that? The answer to that is that confidence can be rebuilt at any time. You haven't damaged your child by not taking them through exercises on the ladder, by making mistakes as a parent. All of this can be improved. Hope is never lost. And I want to really let that sit with you. One thing I've noticed is that kids respond really, really quickly when we don't rush them. And sometimes you've got to slow down a little bit to go faster. So when you look at the confidence ladder, and I've said to you before, start with safety. We're not adding new things, we're removing things. Look at courage. We're not making them do big, scary things straight away. We're actually just removing things. We're doing a simple 3-second rule. Kids respond really quickly to those things because we're not adding new things, we're taking the broken things, the friction points away. Do those first, and you start to see shifts very, very quickly. Progress actually starts to compound when that happens. Referring back once more to the snowball technique, if you feel like you haven't done this anymore, just see it as you're building that snowball at the top of the hill. You're slowly adding layers on to a tiny snowball, and it feels really small at first. But within a couple of weeks or a few months, you're going to be pushing this massive snowball down a hill. And you'll be smiling and thinking back to this moment where you thought, have I messed this up? Because ultimately, you had the calm and the consistency and the patience to push through and follow a system that's been proven to work. So, that is it for the confidence workshop and for the Q&A. I really hope that over the last 2+ hours of this workshop, you've gained a lot of clarity. We've dispelled the myths. You've got a proper system in place to navigate building your child's confidence, giving them courage, reducing their anxiety. If you haven't watched the full workshop and you've just joined me for this Q&A, then I really encourage you to either go back to the playlist and watch each part individually, or go to the comment below, the first comment in this video. It's pinned to the top, where it encourages you to watch the entire full workshop. If you do that, you will have the ultimate guide to developing your child's confidence, something you can refer back to again and again and again as your child goes through all these different transitions in their life. Because one thing's for sure, your child may appear confident one day, but they can have wobbles throughout their life. And the key as a parent is that you have the knowledge, the skills, and the exercises, and the emotional regulation to mentor them through it. The ultimate goal really that we're trying to achieve here is to prepare your child for a happy and successful life as an adult. And as a parent, if you are equipped with a system like the confidence ladder, I guarantee you've got a far better shot of achieving that for your child. Confidence is one of, if not the most important influencing aspects of giving your child an incredible life. So, I hope that you've enjoyed this video. I hope that you enjoyed the whole workshop. Make sure you share your insights, your feedback, your thoughts about this entire workshop below in the comments. I reply to every comment. And before you leave, hit subscribe. Click on the bell for notifications and make sure you don't miss future content. Every 4 to 6 weeks, I release another workshop just like this. So I hope to see you more often on this channel, and thank you for staying tuned.